committee for, well, I started working with the committee under a different firm in 2018. And we worked through COVID and till about 2022. And then here we are back. And so we're going to take you through who we are. So most of you don't really know who we are, how we got here, what we did, what we've done with the senior center so far, as far as looking at options and kind of ideas for moving forward with the senior center. And then we're going to talk about why we're here again and what the goal is for the next kind of phase of this entire thing. Does that sound fair? So a little bit about our firm. My firm, Michael Petrovic Architects, was established in January 2020 following the dissolution of Catlin and Petrovic Architects. My business partner wanted to kind of downsize, start to go into retirement. I wasn't ready to do that, so I decided to continue in kind of building my career and created my own firm. Currently, I have 6 employees: me, John Ramsey, who's here today, Emily Morel, Hunter Davis, Corey Condorino, and Kristen Nunez, our office manager. She keeps us all in line and where we need to be and when. We now have 2 locations. 2 years ago, our moved from Keene to Amesbury. So I live in Amesbury, go to Keene 2 days a week. I have a staff in Keene and a staff in Amesbury. So we're doing about $1.2 million in business every year, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for an architectural firm, that's actually a fair amount of money. A little bit about me: 40 years of experience as of this year, municipal, commercial, industrial, historic preservation, residential, sustainable design, and I'm also from 2012 to 2022, I was an adjunct professor of architecture at Keene State College. The interesting thing is that all of my employees, except for Kristen and myself, are Keene State graduates, so they're all former students, which is a lot of fun because John, I've known when we were freshmen, 2012, yeah, so 2012. So I've known John for 11 years and seen him go from freshman to professional with a wife and a child. Yeah. Our work. So municipal work is a huge part of what we do. It's always been a big part of my career. I enjoy it. We don't work in bigger cities. My fun spot is small to medium municipalities. I think that it's a better challenge. I think it's they need a lot more handholding. I enjoy facilitating, building project consensus within the community and helping solve problems in communities that just don't have these tremendously deep pockets that can just do whatever they want to do and spend money. So we enjoy the challenge. We have a long list of municipal projects up there, some in New Hampshire, some in Massachusetts, one in Lexington, Kentucky, some senior centers, fire stations, libraries. So we've done all of these public safety buildings and a lot of historic preservation. We've worked on a lot of white steeple meeting houses. That's kind of how I got my start in architecture, was a love for historic buildings. Realized that is a labor of love, not necessarily a good way to make a living. So it's something we do, but we do a lot of other stuff too. Senior centers. My business partner, John, when we got together, John had a long history of doing senior centers in Massachusetts. And I got the opportunity to kind of get on with that with him and learn from him, and took on Brookline, doing a renovation for the Brookline Senior Center. I assisted John long distance. We teamed up with a firm from Lexington, Kentucky, because of our ability to do these buildings. And did the Lexington Senior Center. We did Wellesley, Walpole, Longmeadow, and then we've done work for you folks. John has done many others. John and I, as we talked about earlier, ended up on this project, and we'll talk about that, what our team was initially on this, and then how we got to be to working with my firm. A little bit about senior centers, though. I mean, I think, we all kind of have a basic idea of what they are, but they're a vital part in every community. They're the gateway to vital community services for seniors and their families. But I really think it's not just for the seniors themselves. My parents are 94 and 95 and just moved from their own home into independent living, not even assisted living, because the community they lived in had a senior center that allowed them to go to a place every day, have some fun, get help with those forms and all the endless stuff that they needed to do. It was a huge relief for my siblings and I that they were able to have that. It wasn't always on us to do that. It supports seniors to stay safe, be active, and remain healthy. One of the things that happens is that when one partner in a relationship passes on and the other is alone, there's a socialization issue that is required for someone to stay healthy. The senior center provides that socialization. There's the fitness aspect, there's recreation, there's that healthy meal. If my mother happens to still be a great cook at 94, but a lot of people don't maintain that vocation as they get older. And so this is a way to ensure that they get one good meal a day, 5 days a week if they want. It supports intergenerational programs. The funny thing is that in a lot of the bigger senior centers I've worked on, their kind of entry level age is like 50 or 55. Especially with so many people that started working from home during COVID, decided to retire because they save money well, and we're looking for some place to go and have that, and also programs that bring youth and have them interact with an older generation. They provide continued community involvement. It's a way for people to move together and remain active in a community where they've lived for a long time. It's conduit to public services. You realize that all of the services that seniors need, health and Medicaid and Medicare, and doing all the things that they need to do, it gets very overwhelming. Just getting them to be able to use a cell phone is a challenge. So the point is that there's a place to have all this happen. It supports aging in place. As I mentioned, in my case, my parents got to stay in their home until they were 94, 95, and then move on. So that's requires a lot more senior housing, than you might have in a community where people just kind of need. Provides a sense of a peer community. They provide each other support, which is really important when you get to that age. So we understand what this all means. And so what did this mean for you folks? And so as we started talking with the folks in the senior center here in Mendon, it really talked about what became important. The senior center was built in a time when they just needed a small building for people to gather. And that's changed over the years. And so, a drop-off area, doing anything in a parking lot with senior citizens driving is challenging. And you really want to kind of separate them and kind of have a place where they can drop off and not feel anxious and people leaving the car in gear and trying to get someone out of the car, all that happening. Ample parking, providing enough parking for people to be able to come to the senior center and be able to find a parking spot. Provide ADA accessibility. The building is somewhat accessible currently, but providing more accessibility and easier accessibility into the building. The ramp is exposed to the elements, which is not necessarily a good thing. More program space, so we'd be able to serve more people. More people that all those things that I mentioned, that's an opportunity for people to come there. They're short on space. And the space above the van garage has a lift to get up there, but that's really not a dignified way to have accessibility into that space. Provide social space in a multi-purpose room. Provide space for elder care to happen. Getting appointments and seeing healthcare professionals and having conversations, areas to do that, social services spaces. It's amazing how many seniors actually rely on some level of social services. And currently the food pantry works out of the basement. It'd be nice to have a dedicated food pantry space that would provide a dignified way for people to access the food pantry and go and get what they need and feel some level of dignity rather than feel like they're going into the garage and basement to get their food. Integrated outdoor space, the socialization, being out in the sun, having air, being able to do things that they normally don't feel comfortable doing at home because they're doing it here with friends, outdoor space to do that. We do a lot of shuffleboard, we do a lot of bocce courts as part of these and integrated space storage. One of the amazing things about your senior center is the amount of goods that they provide to people in the way of crutches, wheelchairs, and medical devices. And all of that stuff needs to go somewhere. Currently now it's all crammed in the garage. And so a place to have that. Offices. Some of what goes on in the senior center is covered by HIPAA and having privacy and places to have conversation. And so currently that's a bit of a challenge. A defined reception and check-in area. So when people arrive, they should check in using my senior center. There's a lot of stuff that happens there, and currently there's no place that really happens. So we do these. We generally provide a place where people stop, check in at my senior center, they can have a conversation, and there's more of a lobby and a place to have that. And socialization seems to start right there. So our initial approach under Catlin and Petrovic Architects was that we were actually looking at bulldozing the existing building, using the foundation, and through the course of meetings and all, it got very, very involved and very large. And then this was completed after I had left the partnership with my business partner. So since the contract was with him, and that firm which I left behind to start my own, the contract finished out. And so Amy and I had a conversation just by chance. And she basically called and said, can you help us? What ended up coming out of that study is just more than we think we can handle. And so that approach was about an $8.1 million approach. Today, that 575 is really about 625. So that's about an 8.8 or $9 million by today's standards. And so that's just way more than Amy felt comfortable trying to move forward here in town. And so she said, can you help us do something that downsizes this? And I said, absolutely. So we, under my firm, said, well, we're going to do that. And we started over with a new approach. And the goals remained the same. It's just that doing it in a much more, using our firm, and adding to the existing building, a smaller building, and exercising restraint. What can you live with, not what would be amazing to have? And I think in a town like Mendon, in a lot of small communities, exercising restraint and saying, we would like to have this, we can deliver our services with this, not trying to build 25 years of expansion. Some expansion, but living with less is probably a better approach. So we came up with a new design, which was substantially smaller and was about 11,000 square feet. And we did programming and went through all the spaces again, downsized some things, eliminated a few spaces, came up with about 11,000 square feet. So what we did is we came up with a design that this part of the building here is actually the existing building. We actually tear down a section of building that is above the van garage. We saw cut the foundation down so we can have that floor level, all one level in the building, and then we add on to the back. But the beauty of that site is that because of the grading and the terrain, it slopes off away from the road. We get full walkout basement. So we get, by just the nature of building a building, we get space, and a two-story senior center is not a big issue. In fact, most of our senior centers that we do are two-story. Some of our colleagues insist on doing these big, expansive, spread-out senior centers that just require a lot of walking. Someone, and they watch my 94 and 95-year-old parents with their walkers that move along pretty slowly. To get from here halfway to this intersection is a long way. In a compact two-story solution with an elevator, a lot of people will use the stairs because it's good exercise. But if you're somewhat have mobility issues, you can use the elevator, and so you get that space in a solution like this. So this actually has offices, conference rooms, has a couple classrooms, it has a library, has a kitchen, and a multi-purpose room. This multi-purpose room seats about 125 people, and through discussions, but that this probably should be now a little bit bigger than it is. I think we exercise restraint, proven to do it, but it needs, Amy is working with Phil, has decided that this should be a little larger. So this would be what we were talking about. And this becomes our lower level, that we, in this particular scheme, you were going to leave it unfinished, install windows around the perimeters of doors, and then down the road, it could be finished. I think moving forward, as part of this, we would actually build this out and put program space down there, and then still make the building just a little bit larger, because that large multi-purpose room upstairs is just a little too small. And then, this is our site, and we actually get to do on this site, we get to do a drop-off area, ample parking, and outdoor space, and then still provide area for shuffleboard and bocce and all that sort of thing. Now, at the time, we were way back from the very beginning of 2018, told that this space over here is available for the senior center. We're just assuming that is the case. Through this next phase, we will look at and be sure that is actually the case. So it starts to look something like this. And so we're looking at cost, and we had estimated this thing to be about 3.7 million. I think this thing would probably be a little over 4 right now. And again, part of this next phase, when we talked to Phil, gave our estimate. We are actually going, and we have an estimating team, professional estimators, part of our team. So part of the process of stretching the building a bit, increasing square footage, building up the downstairs, we're also going to provide you with a report and an estimate done by a professional estimating firm using real market. The numbers I use are real market numbers. They're based on other projects, but we're going to have an estimate that's based on this project.
And does that include an elevator?
It does. Elevator's better.
I see the parking, the outside area. Have you seen what we've done here with this, this campus or some of the green design, so some of the impervious?
I have.
And would that be applicable for you line here?
We would like to do that there. We are a sustainable fund, so whatever we can do to exercise sustainability and environmentally friendly stuff, that's so rain gardens, green space, all of that. Buildings that are reasonably efficient to run, operate, cost of ownership. That's all stuff that we'll have a discussion on this one. So this is really about taking that last design and looking at, how does that really fit, working with Amy and this committee, but what do you really need, Amy, and what do you need what do you think the demographics of the town need for the next however many years?
We're looking at it for today's needs plus expansions we want to use. Right, turn around and do it again. But the first presentation, I guess, we had years ago, was like 14,000 square feet.
It was just under 15,000.
And we're somewhere around 2,000.
We're around 11,000, but that included our unfinished basement, so that's already partially in there. So we're not adding 25,000 square foot to finish that.
And the other piece that's interesting, we're looking at whatever we gave Amy in the last go round after the vote, and then we got together again. We're looking at expanding, so there are more multifunctional areas in there. Because today what happens, Amy's staff, which is limited, wound up spending most of the time tearing the building down, putting the building back up. There's no privacy area to do exercise or activities. So we addressed that one, and that's where the build out downstairs came into play. And also accommodated things where we have these ad hoc meetings. The friends actually, the friends of the elders, all in use the space constantly, most of our clients. But when they use it, they have to work 9 around all the centers built. So they can't schedule their activities independently of the game schedule. So we need some dedicated area where they can meet and do some of the, which is multi-purpose gaming rooms.
Purpose room, some of the classrooms, those things become, so, and that's where the downstairs is ideal, because they have separate entrance, separate restrooms, so that the rest of the center is locked off, and people can use that space downstairs.
So I guess I wanted to introduce Mike and his effort, what he's done over the past couple of years. You've given us a proposal to carry this forward. We need to make a determination, we need to look at the bids. Look at that. Move forward with it. I think that'll come out of this committee. And then we'll present that to the select board and see if they'll approve it. That's kind of the benefit of what the next phase, I understand, Mike. Is that you would have a cost estimate so we could work with today plus a 3-year view.
We typically do 3 years out, because in case you don't get it approved in town the first time, you understand what this looks at going down the road. But we give you, you'll be able to take the time and get, and try to get that number funded in your funded project.
You figured out that number, I know you have it up to date by the time we do a meeting. Is there a contingency in there already?
Yeah, so we do 3 years of, well, first of all, this is called schematic design, feasibility study schematic design. So there's a contingency that is automatically built in because of the level of design, the level of unknowns. I mean, and there's a lot of assumptions that get made along the way. It's a very detailed. The last one we did was a 20-page estimate from PNC. And so therefore, you know that you've got coverage of it, but there is contingency there. Then there's escalation year over year, right? And so right now, escalation is right around 5 or 6%. Yeah.
It's a low estimate, probably.
What's that?
That's pretty low estimate right now.
Well, it was really high, but it has stabilized, but it's certainly not where it used to be, 3%.
Yeah.
So this really is, again, just taking another look at what we did and updating it, and then they're putting a real number with all of the graphics and all of those things that go along with it to support this. And again, we even will present to the town, whatever you need us to do as part of the process.
What's your time? What do you view as a timeline? I've told us about our dates, like May of next year's time. We have a town meeting in November, which is about what we do traditional. Not asking for money, but an update or something. Let's at least get people work. So how does that fit within your mind and what you see from today forward? What we have?
So then what happens, let's best case, right? So you go to town meeting next May, gets approved, then you've got to go, then you do have to go to the public. It's not bid, it's qualifications for the design team, which we would submit. But the point is that's a qualifications process done through the DSB, Massachusetts DSB format, right? So then your design team comes on. So you're probably not, but you're all funded. Everything's funded, but then you're probably not going to construction date for almost a year, probably 8 months. So you're a year and a half out from occupancy from the time you're getting to 2 years.
How long is the estimated project? The actual project itself, once you put a shovel on the ground.
Shovel on the ground, they're 8 months to 12 months.
So you're almost looking like a 2-year term.
Right, 2 year term.
What we do with the senior center in the meantime? It's just closed.
No, we're talking about maybe petitioning the church up there, the church, because they have a kitchen, they have space, and we've already used to taking tables up and down, and so.
Yeah, Amy's through that process, including food pantry, or other agencies.
Well, the Blessing Bond, she did say she thought that the Blessing Bond might take over that, because they have their own, I think that they have assets for people.
What's the church going what's the money in the budget for the church?
We haven't gotten that far yet.
We would need to discuss that as part of this next phase. That's a very good point. That needs to be figured into the overall budget. Where is the senior center going? What does that cost? Absolutely.
It was a year.
Yeah.
Of fun.
And is there any fit out that's part of that, that's the responsibility that's, building partition?
I don't know, I think it could, it has an elevator.
But it's not huge. The point is that it's just cost that needs to be figured in. It can't be a surprise.
Well, there's rooms downstairs. There's rooms downstairs and.
Yeah.
You know, we have to do, I mean, we don't really have a lot of options in town, and we certainly
You have
don't
to
want to
do it.
leave the town.
But you do have to vacate the building.
Oh, definitely, we know that.
Has Amy and the committee vetted the new plan and made sure that everything's been changed, what they want?
They were part of, that was a 4 or 5 month process.
That's all done. So your plans are,
So we're
Non-plans.
gonna revisit those plans again as part of this, to look at every space, to be sure that Phil had brought up that really they should be increased a bit. So we're gonna revisit every space, redesign the building again. That's part of
We're really
the.
going to walk through everything. The requirements for the one. Jeff joined us tonight, he's here like that, but the very quick, and we've gone through. He's seen a lot of experience. So we asked him to participate in that. So Jeff, you work. What should you consider, what should be a fun. But it's a look like we want, but before we go any further, Mike, we need to look to him on another form. And that's part of, I think, we proposed.
It was, yeah, our proposal was all of that. To give you a complete package to take with them, which is a look at every room again, which we've done twice, but we want to do it again.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep, we want to do it again. And we go through every room, what's in there, who's in there, what are they doing there? And then we say, okay, that's this much space, is that? I don't know.
What's the cost?
What was our proposal? Was
Your
it
proposal, 10,000.
10 or 15?
10 or 15.
Yeah, it was, thank you.
I got to do
I did.
That's why we
It definitely doesn't require a bid. I mean, if anything, it requires 3 solicitations, 3 to get 2 other places. 2 phone calls to see if they're even interested in doing it. And at that point, have we done work with you in the past?
Yes, we did the last phase.
Yeah, well, I mean, essentially, I would call it continuation.
Yeah.
I would be okay with, I mean,
and make 2 calls because it's a different firm technically, right?
yeah, essentially the firm name changed, it just made 2 phone calls to any other firm and, you know.
And you've got to be firms that you say, look, you get senior center experience, right? That's really.
You know, I know it's not a,
With
not-
the
it's not-
stage you're at, you just have to make phone calls and you pick, it's not always better at that point.
you're right, it's not lowest bid, it's not, it's,
Yeah.
you know, and at the same time too, we've been working with you, so it's not,
Those
you don't
phone
want
calls,
to
I
change
think, they just,
midstream right now, you know, so I
those
don't even
phone
know
calls
that
to
they're
make
gonna.
sure like someone's on 50,000, 2 people at 10, and you know, wait a second, maybe back to 50. You know, that's what all that's for. There will be disparity. Most people we call right now, we can say, yeah, we can get you the year from now. You know, that's.
Well, yeah, that's
That's what you're gonna
that's
get.
what we're doing to other clients. You know, We're January, February.
This was part of the funding process.
Right.
Not that-
Are there any issues with the land itself, space there to do the building? Any?
So right now, I believe, based upon that plan that he just showed us, that we have that ample space. There's the question of the septic, however, we're actually at a point, I think we can dump the leaching field into the leaching field behind the town barn, however much, because even the flow of how much comes down there during school time is still not maximum, out. There's pressure on it. From what I can find, will probably gonna be.
We shut supply off here too. We read the building, so we minus the building off that system.
Oh, that's right. This has its own on-site disposal now?
No, we had fire was still operational when it was originally designed, police was in operation. So we had 2 buildings that were operational.
Correct.
That brings up a great question about, is there enough capacity in the existing septic system for this increased load?
Yeah, so I think, Jack, I think that we discussed that. I checked with. Oh, I got another thing, right? I checked with the Board of Health. There wasn't a lot of information. Somebody else was gonna dig into it a little deeper. Begin with that.
I did speak to Joe, who, I forgot who he is.
Well,
Yeah.
Lonnie, whoever you hire for an engineer will have to certify that.
Actually,
And I guess you could put your own septic system.
what's that?
You could put your own septic system in, of
We
course.
can, it gets a little tight with the well situation, right? So that's our.
It will, which I'm gonna talk about, yeah.
Jack, I'll see if we can pull up, we did the police station study here. We actually went to the state and did an analysis on that system to make sure we were affecting it when we built this building. And it was, like you said, the reverse. We were decreasing the capacity of this building because we turned it into one building instead of two here.
Okay.
Good starting.
The system would be classified as a BWS,
I don't know what's that.
it's a public water supply.
Oh, yeah.
The
that's
well is the public water supply.
Absolutely.
That's not hard to do, especially if we're using this disposal system. So I think we did actually on a meeting, it was a meeting that we were part of. I forget who was on that, but somebody had some statistics on that system. And was looking at the flow from this building, it was like this, it wasn't going to be an issue, but that can be all calculated to be sure if this flow is going to affect that system.
I'm wondering, we still have the contact CP handle it all for us, down. But Narragansett, but he probably still has it all. I had lunch with him a couple months ago, so he probably
I
still
mean, I
has
think
it.
that's information we should have on hand too, just to understand.
And again, the engineer's gonna have to do it just like Jack said.
Yes.
So,
As part of the final design, but right now, even at this level, we would want to be sure that that's not something that's going to be added into this, the building sector, because that does affect our final cost. Right?
So we want to put leaching field, we're still gonna need our holding tank on site,
Do that,
And
and risk
then-
shot problem.
and then just, and then run the pipe right through the tree line there to the existing, leaching, whatever pit, that thing's huge.
We'll work with all the union statistics to run that, so we know exactly what the price.
Mike, you had made a comment on the parking as to the top of the diagram. You said, I understand that this land is available.
Is that the way?
That's that weird piece for the, was going to be chopped off, Jack, and then speak to that better.
I can show you I was gonna show you guys a map about what the three projects going on this property. I mean, we've got three projects competing for the same thing. And I think we have to be very, very, very diligent that we do the right thing and in order. We don't wanna get in trouble that way. Can you share the screen? And by the way, I don't know who did the Long Meadow Senior Center, but that is probably the best senior center I've ever seen in my life. I've been there. All right. Can you see that?
You sharing your screen?
I gotta do that. I'm trying to. How's that?
Here it is. There it is. We got it.
You got it?
We got it on our eyes.
So, over the last week, I've been very concerned about the three projects going on here and to make sure that we're careful. We have the ongoing affordable housing project.
I'm sure.
Hey, Jack, it's
Jack, you don't have anything to share.
We're seeing this.
I'm not sharing.
Oh. All right, hold on.
There you go.
Jesus, get the.
Ah, he's got it back.
Go ahead, Jack, sorry.
Okay, so we got the affordable housing project in, as some of you know, that is well along. Wetlands are delineated, the property surveyed. We have a pre-approved well on the other side of the of 52 Providence, on the other side of the wetlands. And we went out to bid and we did not get any bids. And then we interviewed the potential bidders, and the real reason is it's very complicated, very complicated. The second project is the water and sewer, and this site was deemed the highest site, number one option for a water treatment plant, and that would serve the whole city or town, or eventually. So, and that little circle I got there, that is where we're going to drill. We're going in front of the Conscom on Thursday to get approval. And that's where we're gonna drill. Now, we don't know what we're gonna find, who knows, et cetera, et cetera. And then we got you guys, and then you have this property here. If we find out that this property, this area is the prime area for a water plant and a water system, and the town wants to do it, which are all big gifts, we would probably have to swap property, because this 52 Providence was bought with CPA monies and can only be used for affordable housing. Which then brings me to what you guys are doing. And I know I'm probably going to get thrown off the committee here and the chief will put me in jail, but I'm just going to throw it out. Why here? Why not somewhere else?
You're talking about moving the senior center?
A brand new senior center.
Like where?
Right on Route 16 and North Street. More visibility, it's right there. You can start from scratch.
Wouldn't that cost more?
There's a point you have to do.
Not a whole lot.
So I don't know. I don't know if you're cramming too much on this site, and I appreciate everything you've done. You've probably done all this. I'm just the new guy. Is this enough for the town of Mendon, or are you going to be wanting another expansion in 5 to 10 years? You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Jack, the affordable housing piece, right? So here we are again, right? And I mean, I'm probably gonna offend somebody right now, but I really don't care. So we bought that affordable housing, we bought all that land with affordable housing money, not even knowing it's gonna be a feasible thing, right? And here we are, now we're sitting here with all this land, we blew all that money, right? And now it can only be used for affordable housing, right?
Correct.
Okay, so now we're talking about putting a well over there, right? To do a water treatment plant. We saw the numbers for that. Is in this astronomical cost. Right?
Astronomical.
It's insane, right? The feds are not going to pay for it. I don't care what anybody says. We've been down this road before. We've done exploratory wells. I'm not saying not to do it. We got the money to do it, so let's do it, right? So here we are talking about another insane project, right?
Lonnie, I hear you loud and clear. The selectmen gave us the go-ahead.
And now we're talking about the senior center that maybe needs 50 feet to put the extra parking in.
That's an acre.
It's an acre for that parking lot? That parking lot's 1 acre?
No, the area of
That area.
it was an acre
Oh,
lot.
sorry. So yes, but 50 feet of more frontage along the edge, right? So, but now we can't even take it because that land's usable for affordable housing, and now we can't.
It would have to be swapped. Correct.
I think Annie indicated somewhere along the line, the senior center was awarded an acre.
I think so.
And that acre,
I believe that's true.
and the board of selectmen somehow we passed that years ago.
maybe it's true, but I
don't know
I
where
have to
it's
check it at the land use maybe. Anyway, so we've got kind of two crazy projects down on that, you know, when you talk about the three projects that are down there. We have two crazy projects, one that's already gone by the wayside because it is ridiculous to even try to do. Right, that's the affordable housing.
No, I
And-
disagree with, Lonnie, I'm gonna have to respectfully,
Okay.
totally disagree with you. That project will happen and
Okay,
it will be bid on in the spring. No
Okay.
question in my mind.
I just thought you said it was too difficult of a project.
Right, but we're using CPA monies. We're out to bid right now. We're hiring an engineer and we're going to engineer and permit an access to get to the property. That's one of the expensive items. And we're also going to design the septic system and have that permitted. Once those things are done, we'll get bids. That's gonna happen. I'm telling you.
Jack.
And I think it's short-sighted not to think that, that's all.
And Jack, we're soliciting for funding for some of that work through the representative's office, correct?
Okay, well, we had that discussion. I haven't had a follow-up yet, but yes, you're right.
Housing is probably something we might have a better chance of getting funding for because it's a big item.
Oh, it's huge. So, you know,
The
I
idea is
don't-
not- I just want to confirm that acre was allocated to the senior.
We need to know that, to move
Right.
forward with any of this, we gotta understand exactly what.
You know, we need enough parking. We can't have a field across the street. I'm driving.
I mean, could you share parking with the DPW? I don't know. I don't know the site well enough. I know your site, Phil, but I don't know DPW.
It's all, I believe there's wetland between the two.
Now,
You'd have to take a
There's a
look.
stream there.
So-
The cost, because
I
that might
think-
be crazy to talk about. I mean, if you're looking at 4 million to reno, I can't imagine if you could get a new building for that price for the same size.
Yeah, because this is essentially.
I mean, I think it would be,
So I think you,
it would behoove the architect to try to get off of that property. If possible, be creative about this.
does get you, it's because it does have the terrain, we get the lower level space.
Yeah, but so does the property.
Exactly, so I mean, my point is that this building could go anywhere, right?
Right, but then it slopes
Exactly,
up there.
so we're citing 10. That's an internal discussion, we have no skin in that.
The library was going to build on this down near Hopedale Street. Isn't there a piece of land there?
So that Gannett, you're talking about the piece that Gannett, but the Gannett was only a library. Or a school.
Yeah,
But I also think they took it back, didn't they, or do we still own it?
no, they took it
No, they
back,
took it
but
back.
it's in it. You might teach for it or something like that.
It's another option. It's a little bit, you know, I think it's a little bit tougher of land, just it's ledgy in that area.
Okay.
Not that it's pretty ledgy anyway. Look, if there is, the reason why we're talking about that piece right now, because, and moving it was off the table when we first discussed. If moving it is not off the table, we have plenty of, there's at least 3 options that come to mind. Now, one of them is across the street up on the municipal property, but I don't, up behind the fire department, but I don't think we want to go there, right? We want to be more.
That's not a great site.
Yeah, so then site number 2 is we own with that, all that land that is at the top of the hill, minus the corner, because that's privately owned. But you have the section between, and that there, which goes all the way down and opens up, which opens up to the field, which opens up to the beautiful stone wall that's there, and, you know, would be great to see something there other than just the land, you know, which, and then at some point in time, and I know that this is, you know, there's people that fight it all the time. It's brought up again that piece past the stone wall to be utilized for commercial use for, again, shopping center type of, that one going right into that.
Yeah.
Might be, you know, really nice to have close to the senior center too. Well,
Yeah.
the plan that's on- I'm sure it's,
So
it
we
was so
first-
close the last time, I didn't miss it.
When we first started this project, we did make the comment that where the current location is, that's on a strange, it's on a curve on Providence Road. And it is not the most ideal place for seniors to be pulling in and out.
I was told it was off the table, send people down there, but I've always thought one of the most dangerous spots to have seen.
Where it
It's
is
just
now,
so dangerous.
where it is now,
Yeah.
it's not. a-
Part of the problem when you're dealing with seniors is we all have one foot in the grave. I mean, you know, it's had sentimental, but a lot of those people now that have, part of it have passed on. That building is like 35 years old now.
I mean, it could be, if you could do the same money, we have land, but we go to Canada or something else, there are better spots where you could set it back off the road too. So even though that's busy, if you could put along the driveway and set it back to the hill, like we do with the police station there, then now you create a parking space, you're away from the road, so you don't have to worry about pulling in. I mean, if there's 3 or 4 cars pulling in, you know, a truck
It's
doesn't
very
come and run you
dangerous.
It
over.
is a dangerous site. So what happens, an ideal site for senior centers, that they're moving from place to place on site, and then they're getting a pattern to exit. And they're away from everything that's going on site. So if you've got a bigger site, it is better than what you've got.
You go new, you don't have to shut
Well-
down. So, temporary relocation, things like that.
Walk back in, can go up there.
Which piece?
The
What's
one-
that?
Not, right.
Not Gannett?
Well, I wouldn't disregard.
Well, we got to call Gannett first, I mean, I
We can say go.
you,
Then they can put a historic,
It's not
that looks like the old town.
no,
Is
it's
there a
not.
car accident?
Yeah. Oh, wait, he wasn't feeling good before that. So, I mean, we can reach out to Gannett, but at the same time, why don't we take a peek at, you can take a look at with just assessor's maps, right? of
Yeah.
What you
And I
have
think,
there
you know,
to
when
work
you
with.
guys now are down to 1 and 2, if we're the firm that's chosen to do this, we'd be happy to walk those with you and offer opinion as to what might be better suited to a senior center for all of the things that you look at as far as criteria.
Not to have across from the school is a beautiful area, that's what the police station was supposed to go. If it didn't get defeated by 7 votes, it would be.
And, you know, something we can actually, the way that I can totally just visualize, and you guys, I can visualize where to stick, how to lay it out, just utilize the parking. Well, if there's something going on in the school, a lot of the parents will park over there for that event. We can actually increase parking with impervious surface, however you want to do it, and set the building back into that more of the flow. So you'll up here, you're going to see the front of that building. Maybe you can even angle, I don't know how you do it, but I can almost see it in my head. Then that lower level, drive around the back, down the side, but it opens up to the field for, if we did nothing with this.
Whatever, you know.
Right. And you'll access that as well as, if it's nothing now, you can make walking paths.
Then the beautiful thing is that, you know, if there's a school event at night, you can still park there.
Exactly.
Because the senior center is operating during the day.
Oh, no, we have things going on at night too. Other people use our building.
But we could have enough parking there that in anticipation that the school's overflow is gonna be there, because it's not ridiculous, it's, you know, 50 cars or something.
So Jack was saying on Thursday, you're meeting with someone about the water?
Just with the Conservation Commission to allow us to drill a test well there.
That circle was?
Yes,
Okay. Allowed to
we have no
drill.
idea what's gonna happen. It could be bad. I don't know.
Hey, how traumatic is it for the seniors to move down there, up there?
Well, like I said,
You've been there for,
yeah, I've probably been down there about 12 or 13 years. I've seen a lot of changes, and they are resistant to change, as a lot of people are. But
Well,
the problem is that you have 3 things going on in that area. I have a feeling we're gonna be last on the list, and this will just prolong and prolong.
Not only that, I don't think it's gonna prolong anything, but look, again, here, it's, without wanting really to offend anybody, I think affordable housing stinks, but We're gonna
I'll
put
say really.
affordable, we're gonna put affordable housing
How do you
down there.
really feel?
We need it, though, we need it.
But for who? Like, what are we gonna get? Like, affordable housing food, and if you've seen it, never mind, there's a whole different conversation.
No.
But, and we're gonna stick it, it's gonna be next to the senior center down there. Let's move it.
The other thing too.
There's gonna be way more
is
traffic now.
that My experience is that initially we talk to seniors that have a senior center, they're like, oh no, we want to be here. But then when you start doing the design process, and see what the new center is going to be like, they slow, the tune changes. And it's an education and involving
It's
process.
gonna be marketing.
Which we do.
The medical health, you don't disrupt them.
I like that.
You know,
Yeah.
to answer that question about who's coming first,
He's saying something.
it's the affordable housing. I know we're gonna get a bid, and I'm assuming we'll accept it. I don't know from who, but that won't be till late spring of '24. They will not get funding for 2.5 years. That long. So we're probably not seeing construction until '26, probably. And the well is across the wetlands and can only be used for the affordable housing project. So that's kind of like you. It's isolated. It's its own project, and it's been going on for years. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I think at the timeline I heard, you're going to have construction done before they are. They may have permits, but they won't, you're gonna be ahead of that.
But if
And
the water.
And
the water-
if Lonnie's right, and the selectmen, it's their call, but
So
if,
Jack,
if
when you
the
bring up,
water system is a no-go, then that's gone.
Jack, when you bring up the water treatment plant, so what is, does that kick out the affordable housing?
No, the water treatment plant could go somewhere else. I don't know where. I don't know. It doesn't have to be where the well is.
I think if everybody's amenable to it, like, first of all, we should probably just take a quick vote here, and I only say this only because we don't want to delay, to utilize this firm pending what we received from the 3 phone calls. If we find out the 3 phone calls, the two phone calls, we won't even make 2. The 2 phone calls are no, then we already know we're going to have to wait till the next meeting to do this, schedule a quick meeting. So we can make that motion contingent upon it. And then I would say, as soon as we have those answers and we know that we can press forward and you guys are ready to go, let's take a walk up to the land. Take a
I'd like
walk
to
up.
see it.
We can do a quick analysis of each one of those sites.
And I can add another thing that we'll know well before you have your engineering done, well before it. We'll know by October whether that's a good well or not. So that's gonna happen quickly, maybe September.
Somebody
So
will-
I think these will fall in place. I'm confident that they will. As long as you can stay on your site or go somewhere else.
Again,
I'll see if we can pull the North Ave stuff up in the police station too, because they already have engineering designs up there, but they're gonna build, we see a fire complex. So I mean, it was like 13 years ago, but the township have it. It's in the
and that was a monstrosity of a building too.
But at least shows you the site.
But we can do the site plan.
Yeah.
And then we can do a quick site.
But I
plan.
think that I think that was further down in the property, or was it up on the higher section?
It was not that, it was built in the hill, because that's where you want to build this.
But as long as I have a site map, I can put it wherever. Right? But if you've got a site plan, we can work
Yeah.
the boundaries and do a quick analysis. You
It was-
guys, here's what it would look like.
It was built into the hill, because the bottom was gonna be the fire station. We were on the bottom. We were on the top. And it went to town meeting, so it had to be far enough that be an engineer
What
design.
was this, what was the schematic? With a-
Actually, thought it was gonna go.
It was 7 votes.
They built a master plan, with some of the walking sidewalks, the whole
Yeah.
town center focus.
Yeah.
I would think senior center being in the midst of redevelopment
That would be
of
great.
town center, would probably have to be a better location.
Well, to the 9 Blackstone.
I think it should be considered. I really do. I think it's a
Okay.
conversation that And we're happy, we're the firm, happy to be a part of that.
And with the reconstruction of Route 16, and now that's gonna be a more accessible, you'll be able to cross that road better.
Like the lights gonna be redesigned, the whole interior is gonna be redesigned. 3 years.
We wanting to develop that goal. Afterwards, you know, pay for it. It's something we still.
Across here, I mean, right across, yeah, I don't know.
Is there a feeling in terms of, from the town's perspective, what is considered to be a prioritized project amongst the three that are being mentioned?
So, no, because right now, I would say the affordable housing piece has already been through its numbers. They're gonna spend, looks like they're gonna spend a little bit more money, but that's gonna come out of, the affordable housing fund, CPA, CPC, whatever they want.
Yeah.
Funding, so that's not anything that we need to really ask for money for, except just to use it. The other piece is the water, so the water is, we've gotten money to do the studies, so there's money there to do that. The next piece is, you know, if they're gonna be funded once we do we're in phase 2, right, Jack, of the water?
Yeah, this is phase 2, the drilling.
Yeah, is to trying to find the pieces, the good site. So, and again, that funding's there, and either we're gonna fund it with betterment fees of, you know, everybody's gonna have to, what was it, $100,000 per house or something?
To me, there's no contention in terms of priority for financing of these three projects, but we want to move forward on this one. I think debt coming off from the town side, we want to get this on, because we do have debt coming from other areas like the schools.
Right.
And the fire department.
Fire department, yeah, so I think it's.
So this is a sweet spot for this, right? That's why we wanted to get it for the next thing.
Yeah, I think it's important, because you're right,
They've been waiting.
the school's gonna get something else.
So when will that town debt be coming off the books? When?
I think by
I
the
think
time,
taxes will just pay off.
they'll just,
But it's tricky because some of it's actually going towards here.
Yeah.
So it's not all dropping off. Some of it's, they plan
what a
on.
big chunk.
Yeah, big chunk.
We're gonna have some room to play.
Yeah,
CPA
next
pointed
couple
those
of
numbers
years.
And is there even CPA funds available for what we're doing here?
No,
Is that, no?
no. It's
Just
it's
afford-
either open space, historical, maybe.
What if we
Maybe.
historically look like that building that used to be there, that got torn down today?
What price is it?
Oh, the house?
Anything's out.
There might
Yeah.
be some, but only for the existing building, not the new building.
Got it.
That's
Let's say,
possible.
let's say,
Yeah, I was gonna say, and then even the other side, the integrated outdoor
Oh,
stuff.
maybe, well, no, that wasn't, how much, that was a matching, this was a matching grant with CPA. Maybe we get some of the outside.
And you look at the, you know, green, bird green community, look at those six names for that, so. Depending on how the design is.
Hey, Phil, I gotta go, Phil. Is that all right? You're in good hands.
They on project 52.
Thank you, yeah. Let us know how Thursday works out.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jack.
Thank
Don't
you.
be mad.
We still want you on the team though, Jack.
You're not going anywhere, Jack. You're stuck.
He left.
Well, not for this meeting.
Okay, we went longer than we thought, but I think it's about it. That would be interesting.
I'd like to look at that.
That would be interesting. I
That's
know it's
right.
changed. I'm thinking about all the seniors that are gonna get constructed for 1 year. While we were constructing.
I just like the idea of moving more to the center. And here, this is our historic district right here. You're right off that. It's-
I do love taking you guys off Brown Road. I mean, I mentioned it 10 years ago and I was like, almost
So there's-
thrown out of town.
There's
But
4 pluses right there that are sitting, that we just talked.
that road's not gonna get better. The truck traffic's not.
Well, I understand that. In 40 miles an hour, we were shocked.
And
Like
you
you
can't
said,
lower it, it's a 40, there's nothing you can do. You bring the state in, the DOT, and they set up a study
Could
thing
be
without us,
45.
it's gonna be a 45 now. Because it really could be a 45.
And it's only a matter of time where we can't use
It
it.
is.
A lot across the street. We have absolutely no room. And we are turning seniors away from activities because we don't have the capacity.
I hate a lot across the street, and we come
I
down and help you
know,
across.
we
and
all
I
parked
hate
there
it
so we
because
didn't have to run.
Yeah, I think, I think Lonnie, you said, priorities now. Need to get it with them. We needed, I don't know if we had any We need a motion to say one. He's got a motion to. He's got,
I'm gonna make it, but somebody else just move it and then,
yeah, he's making
and
that
then
move.
somebody second it. I didn't swear it. So.
Oh, shoot, I was ready.
Oh, you kidding me?
I work right here, I didn't walk across the street.
Maybe we don't need a motion, but what I can do, I got a time with David, Joey Fong. I can ask Dave before, make some of those calls. And then, yeah, do we have a quorum?
Yeah.
Do we have a quorum because you want in?
I'm actually not on the committee, I'm right. There's three of us.
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4.
How many?
4. 4 out of 7.
I understand what's going on, it's sort of, but can we just not vote, but then you're a quorum? Because we've been appointed to it.
We know what we want to do.
Right. I'll talk to Dave.
I'll make you over there tomorrow
We're
morning.
happy. See you guys.
We'll just we'll work through the legality,
Little solicitations.
yeah, we'll get all that stuff out of the way in the next couple of days. That way we can start September. We do need to kind of get moving.
Yeah.
And because, I'm sure it's, I don't know what the contract looks like for a project of this. But what we can do is if you just give us a letter of intent, we'll start to work with the committee and we can go together.
Mike, could you ask Dave? I think it probably, we should have everything go through the board of selectmen.
I was gonna say, Mike suggested David start to.
Maybe us
To make
for
sure
that.
we're getting. I'll talk to him tomorrow.
Because once we get it, once it gets to the project manager at some point, then it's. Work on it.
Very good.
Very good.
He's on 2 weeks vacation, so,
Ah, good, when she gets back, we'll have it all.
We've already approved it, we voted on it.
Mike, we got a new layout.
Why don't we plan a meeting for, in a couple of weeks when Amy actually returns?
Yeah,
Or when she's back.
I mean, that would probably change the layouts and stuff too, and make everything easier, right? If you're talking with it, your certain
Yeah, I think
footprint.
we're gonna move to a new site. I mean, we're gonna use the room sizes, but the configuration of the building may change depending on the site, but
You
that,
could be more efficient on it.
we'll do all of that. I mean, I think.
The second floor, you could even make the top floor a little bigger and.
And expand to the bottom later.
However that works out, I would rather get off of that site.
you know, it's possible. Jeff Friends behind
Well,
us.
Steve,
I guess.
They're a fundraising arm.
You could even make the street, the top floor bigger, and then expand the bottom out later and not have to pay prevailing wages to the contract, you know? You could do something,
Maybe just listen.
That's where you can save your money down the road.
Before you last
you know?
so there's
and
all
get
kinds
more
of ways to
efficient
work that, right?
You
It's
get
really
a
philanthropic.
sole
They're
contractor
a
here,
one-man family.
you know?
Yes.
I mean, it's like when we built this, it was $6.5 million to build, and the contractors laughed, they said, New Hampshire's gonna build for free.
Almost.
Probably not.
And it wouldn't have been any different back then.
But let's.
It's, well, so
I'd
we
like to see both.
do work in both states, it's not easy to get.
One
Pick a
thing,
date.
you're gonna check the couple of calls, right?
I'm gonna talk to David tomorrow. I'll send an email to CC tonight.
Okay.
And just tell him tomorrow. Lay this out.
Okay, so make that, because I'm trying to think, would be a good time to make schedule. Next meeting is probably 2 weeks from that. But the final, schedule walk. You probably should do that meeting.
To walk away. Yeah, absolutely.
So it looks like, but that'd be a nice target, say 2 weeks.
Although, although if you can get down here
So,
sooner and we can take a walk on that, I mean, might just help you have a sketch for the next meeting that you can, I mean, you don't even have to come down and take it. Just from the
Yeah,
land.
we'll take a look at it, then we'll review it, so we can look at Google Earth and, a lot of that to get
And
started.
all the topography should be there.
Close, yeah.
But it's definitely gonna be on that site plan.
Yeah, the site
Oh, the site plan, that's right. You can find-
Town should have it somewhere, I hope.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was 2007, 2006.
I would.
We'll start to look at it with whatever info we have, so we can just start.
Just keep all that
Just make your calls.
I
for
get it,
now.
I get it.
Yeah, once we say, yeah, we can move forward with us, then we can.
There's some people watching.
I don't know how many people.
Can you tell me it's watching?
Oh,
There's nobody.
oh, we're live?
Yeah,
Phil has.
but I don't think anybody's
Not
on
saying
it,
one quick.
It's real, nobody can see it.
but they'll play it
I
back.
can't remember.
Sorry.
No, it's on the site.
Whatever it was.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you. I know it's quite a ride. You gave us a lot of information.
It's less perfect now. There's like, have you ever incorporated like walking trails, like, conservation land?
We hadn't done that. We've done that on our projects.
If we move it, it's a moot point. Just curious.
Well, essentially, if you put it up there, you might be able to have some walking area.
Yeah, you have more space, but I also think you want to be cognizant of vertical development.
No, I'm just saying even around,
Yeah, yeah,
You just go around
That
the
rock.
building, yeah.
you could do a nice walking trail that,
Not on the housing rules.
no, the,
Imagine the CVS or something.
Trick or treat.
So there's 10 acres behind us. Not walking trails so much, walking trails around the area.
We do them around the building, outside of that, whatever you can.
you know what you can also do too, you know what? It might even make that corner attractive, and this would be a question, Jack, with that public water supply. You might be able to supply water to that private business. Because that's what hinders that corner from being developed. And what was across the street used to be a pretty nice little gas station that had coffee and stuff in it, and now they got rid of the gas. And
Companies, one of Hopewell's, was there, right?
yeah, we're talking about, we talked about Hess, we talked about all the stuff that could go there, and then see, then it was CVS, then it was Walgreens, and it all died on the way.
Because they want to look at the town meeting, they need, what, 20 feet,
Easy.
yeah, 20 feet, 30 feet. No. That companies would have been, that companies.
Oh, right. Yeah, that would have been terrible.
Companies actually build, we build a decent little building too. So here in town, as a chain, it's not
It would have been great to put the ice across the street.
So,
Ah, shut up.
Well, please.
We're good.
thank you. Motion, meet 2 weeks from now?
2 weeks from now.
Right, that's 22nd, 6:30?
Yes.
I can zoom in, I won't be here, I can zoom.
Okay, I hope you're on vacation.
So you want us here for that, right?
Why don't we, see how far we get?
Let's get through this and then.
Yeah, we'll find out what happens Thursday.
Lonnie, you'll be here to let them in and do everything. That would be good.
Huh?
The 22nd, you'll be here.
Yeah, just call me when you can, we'll go in, and then I'll come. No, I should,
I'll remind you.
I'll be, sorry, I got sidetracked today.
That's all right.
We
Thank
did
you.
that, we actually migrated Billsburg to IMC.
Why?
So,